Well, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, we have the Steelers' 49th pick in the NFL draft in round two, their third pick so far. Keeanu Benton, the interior defensive lineman, probably more nose tackle, defensive tackle for the Steelers, joins the team with the 49th pick. Excellent to get depth next to Cameron Hayward. Now, remember, the Steelers brought in a number of DTs through and defensive linemen through in free agency. We re-signed Ogunjobi. We brought in Armand Watts. We already had Montravius Adams. We did lose Chris Wormley. We brought in Fehoko. So then there's Loudermilk sitting there as well. So, and obviously DeMarvin Leal from last year's draft. So the defensive line room gets better. I do think Keeanu Benton can be a day one starter. That's probably not their ambition. They do probably want to ease him into certain sets. He can probably be another defensive tackle in a sub package. Otherwise, he can be that defensive end. But you're all going to see him interior. And I say defensive end in a 3-4. You're going to see him between Hayward and Ogunjobi. Love the pick from that perspective with Keeanu Benton. I have him at 317 pounds out of Wisconsin. Obviously, it's a school the Steelers are very, very familiar with. 6'4", so got height, got size. Can probably even get a little bit bigger if they wanted him to and get up to somewhere like a 325. But he's got a bit of quickness in there when he is doing those stunts and those interior rushes. So you don't want to lose that. Now, he's a guy that has 19 sacks in college, according to Sports Reference stats. Now, 10 of those, 19, so over half came in this most recent year at Wisconsin, which helped him rocket up the draft boards. He had 9 sacks, 4.5 of those, so 50% of those came in 2022. He had 19 tackles for a loss. 10 of those were the ones that came in 2022, so more than half. He has 4 pass defenses, 2 in the last 2 years each, and 2 forced fumbles. So immediately the Steelers really helped stop the run. The defense seems to be the focus on day 2. I did talk about that, and that's what you'll see. That's what you're seeing the slider on the screen right now in my day 2 top 75 players. Now I updated this. The guys highlighted in gray were the guys that went in round 1. We saw Joe Porter, my top guy at cornerback there, taken straight away. So he was the top guy available on day 2. We now go see Keeanu Benton, who was my top player from an interior defensive line perspective. This wasn't necessarily ranked. It was ranked in the different positions in order that I saw, being a priority, and then my draft board at those positions. So obviously Drew Sanders was there as my second linebacker. I like Dan Henley from a coverage perspective and Demarin Overshawn from his versatility. But you're here to listen to my quick reaction to Keeanu Benton. So Keeanu Benton was that top interior guy I had for the Steelers. I'm surprised he falls to 49. I did think he'd sneak into the top 40. So this is very good, particularly when you saw Mazai Smith taken yesterday by the Cowboys. So, yeah, Keeanu Benton brings a lot to the Steelers in terms of their defense, really upgrades that interior. Played about 1,300 snaps in his career with Wisconsin. 428 of those came in 2022. We'll look at those stats. He had an 83.5 pass rush grade, a 60 coverage grade. These numbers are according to PFF now. A 73.6 defensive grade overall. They have him at 10 sacks. So they've had one more than Sports Reference, which is interesting because they don't count half sacks. They have him at 24 quarterback hits, 34 hurries in his career, 58 overall tackles, and he misses about 10% of those. So that's something the Steelers will want to clean up. He's averaged 12.6% missed tackles throughout his college career, so that needs to improve. Now, one thing that I did find interesting was the 27 stops that he had. So PFF have this grade that they give players in terms of how they make stops. So when they make the play, the offensive drive basically gets killed off. He had 27 of those last year alone, 57 in his career. That's pretty important when you think about guys rushing in the middle, from trying to convert a third down. So that's pretty cool from him. That's an area that I think he could really bring something to the Steelers for. So really excited about that. They have him at 3 batted balls, so that's interesting versus the 4 that Sports Reference has. But clearly it's something he can do, and he can learn from the best. How often have you seen Cameron Hayward do that over the last couple of years? To the point, Cameron Hayward's now had like 2 interceptions. He didn't have that until that season in 2020. That was when he had his first interception. So that's pretty cool that he can learn and develop from Cameron Hayward, one of the best in the business. Love that, particularly with all the great things we know and all the interior pressure that Cameron Hayward provides. He can also partner with Ogunjobi. I like it too. It helps you manage potentially Cam Hayward snaps. But I do think if you're starting the defensive line to begin the season, he's probably between Ogunjobi there and Cameron Hayward. And that's pretty cool because the Steelers just got a lot better in terms of the interior pressure we can put on the run and the pass. Interestingly as well, I noticed he stepped up against the bigger teams, except his game against Ohio State. So I kind of found that one a little bit interesting when I went through the grades from that perspective. But yeah, look, he's someone that immediately brings impact to the Steelers, fixes a defensive gap that we had, a roster gap. The Steelers are building, guys and gals. The Steelers are building. Omar Khan is filling needs, finding talent, free agency, now the draft. I do expect them to somehow still do a trade in the rest of the draft, but we'll have to see how that goes. Steelers have kept their picks. They've got talent. We're making a run. This team is definitely 2 wins better than last year, based on free agency in the draft. Could they be 3 or 4? Imagine that. But yeah, excited to welcome Keeanu Benton to the Pittsburgh Steelers. How about it, Steeler fans?